the chorus. I'm not gonna sing it. Whatever. I'm not gonna sing it. I'm just gonna speak it. Our great God, a mighty warrior. Our great God, you go before us. Our great God is on our side. That's the chorus.
I can't speak lyrics at the same.
I didn't want to waste my voice.
Let's just go that way.
You guys. The first, what I'm gonna sing first is "Look at the skies, I see your majesty." Look at the skies, I see your majesty. Your glory shines for all the world to see. Look to the cross, I see salvation rise. Your voice like thunder calls the dead to life. Our great God, a mighty warrior. Our great God, you go before us. Our great God is on our side. In the storms and in the rising seas, in the storms and in the rising seas, we will not fear, you stand in victory. In your light we cast aside our shame. We are free to glorify your name. Our great God, a mighty warrior. Next part is the bridge. It says, hold on. If it wasn't for Jesus, we'd still be all alone. If it wasn't for mercy, we'd still be on our own. For Jesus, we'd still be all alone. If it wasn't for mercy, we'd still be on our own. If it wasn't for Jesus, we'd still be all alone. If it wasn't for mercy, we'd still be on our own. If it wasn't for Jesus, we'd still be all alone. Mercy, we'd still be on our own. If it wasn't for Jesus, we'd still be all alone. If it wasn't for mercy, we'd still be on our own. Our great God, a mighty warrior. Our great God, you go before us. Our great God is on our side. Our great God, a mighty warrior. Our great God, you go before us. Our great God is on our side. If it wasn't for Jesus, we'd still be all alone. If it wasn't for mercy, we'd still be on our own. going to teach you the chorus for this next one. It's Your Promises. This one is by Elevation Worship. Thanks, Matt, for pointing that out. It's doesn't matter what I feel, doesn't matter what I see, my hope will always be in your promises to me. When the weight of the world begins to fall, on the name of Jesus I will call. For you have supplied my every need. No, that wasn't it. Your purpose is unshakable. Doesn't matter what I feel, doesn't matter what I see, my hope will always be in your promises to me. Now I'm casting out all fear, for your love has set me free. My hope will always be in your promises to me. As I walk into the days to come, I will not forget what you have done. For you have supplied my every need, and your presence is enough for me. Doesn't matter what I feel, doesn't matter what I see, my hope will always be in your promises to me. Now I'm casting out all fear, for your love has set me free. My hope will always be in your promises to me. Oh. You will always be more than enough for me. You will always be more than enough for me. Nothing's gonna stop the plans you made. Nothing's gonna take your love away. You will always be more than enough for me. You will always be more than enough for me. You will always be more than enough for me. Nothing's gonna stop the plans you made. Nothing's gonna take your love away. You will always be more than enough for me. Doesn't matter what I feel, doesn't matter what I see, my hope will always be in your promises to me. Now I'm casting out all fear, for your love has set me free. My hope will always be in your promises to me. Doesn't matter what I feel, doesn't matter what I see, my hope will always be in your promises to me. Now I'm casting out all fear, for your love has set me free. My hope will always be in your promises to me. Would you bow your heads and pray with me? Dear God, we'd like to thank you for bringing us all here this morning to worship you and for us to have fellowship with each other. We'd like to thank you for bringing us here safely, and that you would help us to keep our ears open for the awesome message that's been prepared for us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Hey guys, this morning my friend, her family is like the coolest family ever. Her name is Jess. She's going to be speaking this morning. And so if you guys will just welcome her up here. Also, if you guys could just move into the front 2 rows, that way everybody's not so spread out, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jess. It's nice to see you at this ungodly hour in the morning. You guys met my husband last week, Jordan. He's way cooler than I am. He's much more of a morning person, so I know it was really awesome last week. So he's kind of cute too, isn't he? I like him a lot. Like I said, my name's Jess, and I'll tell you a little bit about myself a little first before I get started this morning. I'm not from around here. I'm from North Carolina. That's where I grew up. I grew up near the coast, and I have with my brother and his sister and my mom. Dad's a whole other story. We'll talk about him the other date. So I want to start with you guys just a little bit this morning, telling you a little bit about some stuff that happened when I was a kid. Because usually I had taught for 7 years, and so sometimes I tend to get a little teachy, but you guys are going to be taught for the rest of the day, and you guys are probably sick of that anyway. So I'm just going to kind of talk to you guys about some stuff that I dealt with when I was a kid, growing up, and through teenage years, and even through college and into the workforce. This stuff never really completely leaves. So I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about it this morning. When I was growing up in the late 90s, early 2000s, some of you guys probably even were born then. How many of you guys were born in the 2000s? 2000s. No, like you were born year 2000 and later. So at least 2 or 3 of you guys. At least 2 or 3 of you guys. Okay, so you don't remember any of this, but when I was growing up in the late 90s and the early 2000s, those were kind of my middle school, high school years. The big thing was makeovers. I feel like that was just pounded in our heads and in our faces every single day, everywhere we went. Every romantic comedy that I ever watched when I was a kid growing up was this girl who was ugly or she was shy, and all of a sudden this guy came along and she got this huge makeover, and then because she had the huge makeover she became popular, and then she got the guy and it was this big conflict. She's all that. Princess Diaries. I mean, just if you got a makeover, then your life was going to be fabulous and wonderful and awesome, and everything was going to be a-okay. Not only that in our movies, but in our reality television, because reality television was booming when I was growing up, and that's when it started to become really popular. And the first kinds of reality TV shows that became really popular were these makeover shows. Extreme makeover. You would go in and they would do these huge weight loss and plastic surgery. This really controversial show came out called The Swan. I don't know if you've ever heard of The Swan. No. Do you know what I'm telling you? You know, girl, you know. We're here. We're here. This real big, real controversial TV show came out called The Swan, and they would take these really homely, mom, blah-looking women, and they would put them through the ringer. I'm talking weight loss, plastic surgery, enhancement surgeries. They would put hair implants and just crazy stuff, and then they have this big fashion show, and whoever looked the best at the end would win the swan, and they got this huge crown with this big swan on it. It was this big deal. So the problem is that it taught me when I was a kid that I wasn't going to be good enough unless I had a makeover. Well, the problem with that is when you're a kid and you don't have, access to TV show money, and you can't get plastic surgery and all this kind of good stuff, your makeover is really technically not good enough. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. My sister all of a sudden one day decided she wanted blonde hair, and I was like, oh, I got this. I can dye your hair blonde. Yeah, I came out totally bright orange. And I was like, oh, we'll just dye it again. never do. I can't believe she still has hair. To this day, she still has hair problems because we dyed the snot out of it. Not only that, but these products came out called Sun-In. It smells like straight up barf. Just spraying it, honey, straight up barf. People would put alcohol and lemon in their hair and lay out in the sun to get it to bleach. And so we would go through even my brother, so guys, even my brother did the frosted tips. Anybody frosted tips? Yes. It was the NSYNC era, the Backstreet Boy era, and they had like the frost. You could actually buy hair paint. And you could spike your hair and then you would just paint the tips. Yeah, we did that to my brother. It was great. The problem with it, I know that this was all really popular in the 90s and 2000s. The problem with it now is that it's kind of evolved into more of a physical appearance issues. We need to fix all of our physical appearance issues. It's turned into a heart issue for your generation. And the heart issue is that I'm never going to be good enough even at my best. There's always going to be somebody better. There's always going to be something wrong. And we start believing this lie that's constantly put into our faces because they want us to buy their products, watch their TV shows, yada, 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 that I would be perfect if I could change blank. Now, I want you to lace. I know we just got like really real here at like 7 o'clock in the morning. But I really want you to just think about that one time. When's the last time you looked in the mirror or the last time you thought about yourself and who you are? And you thought to yourself, oh, it would just be perfect if I could change blank. And I want you to think about what you would put in that blank or what you have put in that blank before. Even my sister, we talked about this like 2 days ago, seriously. She's in New York, she's in fashion. She's absolutely gorgeous, and she's wonderful, and she's successful. And we literally had a 30-minute conversation about if we won the lottery, what we would change about ourselves. Now, and I want you to think about that. What's the last time you had that conversation? Everything would just be so perfect if I could change blank about myself. Oh, I totally forgot something. I'm going to insert it right here. Because this is for the guys. Because this happened when I was a kid too. This is especially for the guys in the room that doesn't necessarily look in the mirror. It's like, oh my gosh, if I could just change my hips, that would be so great. I don't say that you guys, but for the guys, one of the things that came out when I was a kid was virtual realities became super huge. You had The Sims, and then you had Sims 2, and then you had Sims like Family, and then you had Sims something. And so like all of these huge video games started coming out. Instead of trying to change, they would just completely separate themselves from reality and become somebody different in this virtual reality. So that's for my guys. All right, so because I don't think you look at stuff like, oh my gosh, I wish I could do that Kylie Jenner challenge. Okay, so makeovers don't necessarily help. And this is why. I sat down in front of my mom one time when I was in high school, and I was just bawling. I was like, oh my gosh, I just feel so bad about myself. And if I could just change this, and this, it would be so great. I had my nose, it's kind of crooked, it does this like crooked thing. And then like my whole family, there's two sides of my family. There's the flippin' side, yes, flippins, that's my mother's maiden name, flippin'. The flippin' side, they're all like this, they're all very long. And then there's the Johnson side, they're all like short and like this. And so I got the Johnson side, and then my sister and my brother and my mom, they're all like the Flippins, and so there's like, we would go and have like family pictures, and it would be like, Flippin' Johnson. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, I just really wish I could just change everything about my life, and I just feel like who I am. And my mom starts crying, sitting across the kitchen table, no lie, starts crying. And she's not a very emotional person. She raised 3 kids by herself. She's hardcore. And so like, I was like, why are you crying? This is my problems. These are my problems. It's about me. Why are you crying? And she said, because you're insulting me. And I was like, what do you mean I'm insulting you? This is about me. Kids at school are insulting me. I'm insulting myself. I'm having this issue. This is about me. She goes, no, you're insulting me. She said, Jess, if you look in the mirror, she says, you look exactly like me. You are me. You're half me. And if you actually looked at a picture of my mom in high school and me in high school, they're like literally the same person. I have a picture of my mom, before I had a child, I have a child, he's back there, he's super awesome. Before I had a child, I have a picture of my mom holding me as a baby, and people would come to my house and be like, Jess, you got a baby somewhere? I'm like, no, that's my mom. I'm the baby. She looks exactly alike. She goes, we look exactly alike. I made you, and you're telling me that I didn't do a good job. And so I kind of thought about that in the terms of God and His creation. God created us. He made us. And when we have these heart issues about, if only I could change blank, it's like, oh God, you did such an awesome job in all of creation. But if you could have just changed blank, it would be perfect. Okay, so then I have some verses here. All right, so I'm telling you, early morning. I don't roll early morning. All right, so not only that, so you were telling him that he couldn't do a good job, but not only that, but you're insulting God as a person. You're insulting God as who He is when you say, if you could only change blank. The reason is because God created you, and only you, the only part of creation, in His own image. And Genesis 1:27 says, so God created man in His own image, and that means that He created you to look like Him, act like Him, love like Him, hurt like Him, have emotions like Him, have relationships like Him, and yet we still want to ask God, man, if you could only change blank. And think about it this way. God created the heavens and the earth. Think about the most beautiful part of creation. To me, my grandparents lived in this place called Pilot Mountain, and it is the most beautiful drive you've ever driven in your entire life, especially in the fall with all of the pretty colors. I'm telling you, like, beauty that just like kicks you in the chest. It makes you hurt. Anybody been to the Grand Canyon in here? Grand Canyon? Yes! The Grand Canyon is absolutely gorgeous. I've never been, but I've seen pictures. The Great Barrier Reef, anybody? Australia? Anybody? Great Barrier Reef? No. Think about the most beautiful part of creation that you could possibly imagine. The one that if you saw it, it just like kicks you in the chest. You know those sunrises? You guys see sunrises in the morning, especially if you were here at this ungodly hour. You guys have seen sunrises. Those beautiful sunrises that kick you in the chest, that go, oh my gosh, this is just proof that God exists because it's amazing and it's beautiful and He created it. Not as beautiful as creating something in His own image. Have you thought about it that way? You were the only part of creation that He created in His own image, and yet you're the only part of creation that has self-confidence issues. Why is that? Think about it. Nature is gorgeous and it's beautiful. You see flowers, they're awesome, and then we're like, you ever see a flower and the petal falls off, and then we're like, oh my gosh, if only I could just put if we could just put that flower petal back on, it would just be so great. Avalanches, or earthquakes, and complete mountains turn into valleys. Do you think that mountain's like, oh my God, if I could just be a mountain again, it would just be so great. No, you were the only part of creation that was created to look and act like God. And we're the only ones that have self-confidence issues. We're the only ones that don't like parts of ourselves. We're the only ones that tell God, hey, you didn't do a good job. Think about it this way. It's not that, what does this have to do with grace? Because you guys have been talking about grace, and what does this have to do with grace? Because not only did God create you in His own image, He sent His Son to die for you. And no other part of creation. All the rest of the creation that is beautiful, that is awesome, that proves to you that God exists. When you see that beautiful sunrise and you're like, oh my gosh, God, there must be a God, because look how beautiful all of this beautiful sunrise is and everything. And then it's just, oh my gosh, it's so awesome. God didn't die for that sunrise. God didn't die for Grand Canyon. God didn't die for the Great Barrier Reef. God didn't die for Mount Everest. He died for you. He wants to have a personal relationship with you, and yet you feel like you're not worthy. I felt like I wasn't good enough. and yet Jesus created me in his own image, and then he died for me. And it's not that the nature doesn't know. It's not that nature doesn't want to have that relationship with him. Now, you think I'm crazy. You think that like flowers stand up and talk and be like, oh my gosh, God, let's have a relationship. You think I'm crazy. No, it's in the Bible. Look, I tell you. It's not that nature doesn't desire to give God glory for his awesomeness. Jesus said in Luke 19:40, when the Pharisees said, you need to get your people to stop praising you because you're not supposed to be praised, you're not God. Jesus says, if they didn't praise me, the rocks would cry out and praise me. So rocks are awesome enough to tell God that he's awesome and tell God that he's doing enough, but we're not, and we were created in his own. Rocks? How about this? Psalm 19:1, the heavens declare the glory of God. That sunrise? Yes, it's declaring the glory of God. It says it's beautiful. He's awesome. And yet we're the ones he died for. Psalm 66:4. Oh, there's lots of them. Psalm 66:4. All the earth worships you. Nehemiah 9:6. The host of heavens worships you. Revelations 5:13. You just wait. And I heard every creature in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and in the sea, and all that is in them, saying, to him who sits on the throne, and to the Lamb be blessing and honor and glory forever and ever. And yet he didn't even die for them. And they worship him, and they tell him he's awesome. And yet we look at God and say, oh, if only you could have changed blank. So that's what it has to do with grace. Is that God loved you enough to create you in his own image. God loved you enough to die for you, to offer you his grace, to offer you that salvation, to offer you a chance to spend time with him in eternity. All of those beautiful things that you see that he has created, those will all pass away in end times. Gone. Die. Kaput. There will be a new heaven, new earth. Nothing that he wants to spend his time with for all of eternity. All of eternity! Forever! Everything else, kaput. For 1 Peter 3:18 says, for Christ suffered once for our sins and the righteousness for the unrighteousness, that he may bring us to God, being put to death in the flesh, but being made alive in the spirit. It doesn't just stop there. Even though being made in his own image, pretty awesome. He died for us. Way awesome. He's given us grace. But beyond that, he's given you spiritual gifts. He's given you talents. He's promised you blessings. Oh, but God, if you could just change blank. Here's the thing. Let's recap. I just did that, but I'm going to recap again because it's 7:30 in the morning and I'm not all there. So let's recap. All of creation, we're the only ones lucky enough to be made in his image, yet we're the only ones that have self-confidence issues. Change play. All creation worships and praises him. God is and is beautiful for him, but we're the only ones that Christ died for and extended grace and salvation. So what do we do? What do we do when we get into these funks? Where we look in the mirror, or we look at ourselves, or we separate ourselves completely and try and become somebody else completely in virtual realities, and we say, oh God, if we could only change, like, what do we do? How do we change that? Because I'm all about fixing the problem. My sister calls me all the time, oh my gosh, I'm just having this really horrible, she called me literally 2 days ago. She goes, oh my gosh, I have this really horrible time, and she was like, I just regret all of these things that I've done, and like all of these things that I'm doing, and I'm like, blah, 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 blah. I was like, all right, you want me to feel it? And be like, oh, this sucks? Or do you want me to fix it? And she was like, just feel it with me. Just be angry. I fixed it anyway. And then at the end of the conversation, I was like, I'm sorry, I can't turn it off. It's who I am. So I want to fix it, okay? So let's fix it. I've got 4 things. So if you're writing or whatever, I have 4 things that will help you fill in that blank and actually get rid of that blank altogether. The first thing is that you need to listen to the right voices. Let me make sure I have time to go through these. Ooh. Okay, I'm going to get to them in 2 minutes. Listen to the right voices. The reason that we have such a hard time with teen suicides, cutting, self-mutilation, anorexia, bulimia, being sucked into different worlds, the reasons that we have such a hard time with bullying I don't really think, I know that this is really like terrible to say, and I know that, but listen, hear me out, hear me out. I don't think that the bullies are the main problem. Yes, they need to stop. Yes, they need to act right. Yes, they need to ask for forgiveness and get to like God and stop bullying people. Yes, all of that. But don't think the bullies are the problem. I think the problem is that we're listening to the wrong voices. If God created you in His image, if God blessed you, if God died for you, if all of these things, why in the world are we letting human beings tell us that we're not good enough? The God of all of the universe says, I love you enough to die for you, and I want to spend eternity with you. And yet we're listening to people who are fallen tell us that we're not good enough. So we need to be listening to the right voices. Dive into that word. I'm telling you, you can like go online and you look up verses about God loving me, and they're like 100 verses about how God loves you. I'm telling you, dive into that word and put it in your heart and know that God has done all of this for you and that He wants to spend time with you and have a relationship.
Danielle Weaver to the attendance office, please. Danielle Weaver.
Number 2, offer forgiveness. When these people are tearing you down or telling you that you're not worthy, even if you're doing this to yourself and you're tearing yourself down, you need to offer forgiveness. When I was in 6th grade, I'm going to do this really quick. When I was in 6th grade, I was in a 4-wheeler accident and half my face was completely ripped off. If you don't believe me, you can see me afterwards. I'll show you the scars. It's crazy. So half my face was completely ripped off. I got to school, and I'm talking about, oh, you were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened to you. I love you. No. I had been, according to this kid named Anthony, I had been eaten up by a lawnmower.
Good morning. I need to see the following in the attendance office.
There was this really big
please.
TV show
Jonathan Kepler
with
and
dinosaurs, like
Daniel
Lost,
Gibson.
Land of Time, Lost in Time. Help me out. Land of Time. What is Scarface, T-Rex? That big, they called him Scarface. It was like, anyway, I was Scarface. Yeah, that was me. And so my dad picked me up from a concert one time because I was in the band. My dad picked me up from a concert and he said, so I heard the kids were being really awful and mean to you. This answer was from God. This was not from me. I am not awesome because like I tell you, years later I was sitting across from my mom crying about how I wanted to change stuff. So this answer was definitely from God because He knew that my dad needed Jesus. And He said, God forgave me, so I'm going to forgive them. 6th grade. My dad hit his knees when he got home and accepted Christ. Because a 6th grader had said that God forgave me, so I can forgive them. Tons of verses about that, but I don't have time to get into that. But that's what God says to do. If He has forgiven you, you need to forgive them. Move on. Easier said than done, because it sucks. And I'm telling you, years later I was sitting across from my mom crying about how I want to change stuff. So, it's hard, but we can do it. Number 3, clean out the gunk. A lot of times when we don't feel good about ourselves, it's because we have some kind of gunk in our lives. It may be a sin that we haven't asked for forgiveness for. Maybe it's some friends that are not pouring into our lives positively and they're tearing us down. We need to clean out that gunk. So any type of gunk that you have in your life that you need to get rid of it, clean it out. And I'm not saying get a makeover. I'm talking about in your heart, spiritually, is there some kind of gunk, sin, person speaking into your life that's not speaking positive things into your life? If there's some inconsistencies with your walk, clean out that gunk, and I promise you, you'll feel better, and it's way better than a makeover. And number 4, exercise the talents that God's given you. If you're ever feeling like, oh God, if you could just change blank, think about the things that God's gifted you with, your spiritual gifts, your talents, your blessings, something that you're really good at, and go do it. And I promise you, you will be renewed and be like, oh, God didn't screw up. Oh, look what He did. He did do something really cool for me. Oh, that's really cool. Look, I can do this. So think about the gifts and the talents that you have, exercise them, and you will be refreshed and renewed. So instead of makeover, instead of reinvention, think refresh. You just need to be refreshed.